We need to build a wall, and it has to be built quickly.
Good morning. It is 9:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. We got a lot to get to today. But first, how was your weekend? Did you have a good weekend? We had a blast. We had a lot of baseball over the weekend, a lot of performances, and it was a lot of fun. Mason, you have a good weekend? You do anything fun? Mason, you do anything fun over the weekend?
My brother got married this weekend.
Oh, congratulations. Which brother?
Middle brother, Parker.
All right.
I'm big happy for him.
Are you now the only unmarried brother?
No, he is the only married brother.
Okay. So 1 out of 3?
1 out of 3. 1 out of 3.
That's Hall of Fame in Major League Baseball.
Your mom is hoping for more.
Yeah, she is. After that, she looked at both of us and went, okay, hurry up.
Yeah, you got to do something.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Did you find any lonely girls who were getting bit by the marriage bug while you were at the wedding?
Not to my knowledge, no.
No. You should have. What are you doing?
I mean,
you had an opportunity there. You've listened.
I wasn't really looking for it.
You've listened to "Lose Yourself" by Eminem before, right?
Oh no, I have.
You know what to do when you have those opportunities.
We were hyping ourselves up with it.
If you only have one shot, did you let the opportunity go? Is that what you're telling me?
I think I let an opportunity slip through my fingers, probably. But
you
I
may
also
never
didn't go in looking for
according
love.
to the song, you may never get it back again.
You know, Chris, I put all my trust in God.
Okay.
Let's think about that for a second.
Okay. I'm just letting you know. I mean, it's in the song.
It's in the song.
Okay. Did you at least get any numbers?
I let Jesus take the wheel.
All right.
You're putting more pressure on him than his mother does.
Oh, for sure.
We need Mason needs to get married. Everybody knows it.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
You deserve it, dude. You gotta start having some babies. We gotta boost those birth rates. I can't do it by myself.
Be honest, I don't feel like bringing any babies into the world right now. There's possible draft looming.
No. You just say bone spurs and you're good to go.
I mean, didn't Trump just blow up the side of an Iran ship?
Okay, so he blew up yes. That doesn't mean a draft's coming. I don't think a draft is ever gonna happen.
I don't think draft is actually coming either.
It might.
Maybe.
Possibly. Let's hedge our bets a little. The Iran stuff. So we recorded a podcast on Thursday, okay? Me, Murphy, and Dan. And Murphy and myself, very pessimistic on the current Iran situation. Then Friday rolled around, and they said the Strait of Hormuz was back open for business, and me and Murphy laughed, and we're all in the group chat, right? And it's the group chat's myself, Murphy, Mason, and Mandis. And we're like, well, Dan was right, and what do we do with this podcast episode? We're like, do we scrap it? What do we do? And we had missed the last couple of weeks, so we're like, no, we can't scrap it. Like, we got to post it. And so we made the title. It was like, we were wrong, and Dan was right. And we all kind of had a good chuckle about it for like 12 hours.
And then
chaos broke out in the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Did you hear the Indian ship?
No.
When they were being fired on? We have the call. We have the call to play. It's wild. We took an Iranian flagship over the weekend. Oil prices have jumped back up, and we're in a bit of the land of unknown right now, and we'll see what happens. This is from Axios, where they say American forces seized an Iranian-flagged cargo ship after it tried to bypass a U.S. naval blockade in the Gulf of Oman, President Trump said Sunday. Trump said U.S. Marines disabled and seized the vessel, named the Tuska, as U.S. and Iranian officials prepared to hold talks in Pakistan ahead of a looming deadline for the ceasefire ending. The deadline for the ceasefire, if I recall correctly, is Wednesday. The talks are happening tonight in Islamabad, Pakistan. J.D. Vance is on the way, as well as Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff, and the whole squad. But after things went haywire in the Strait of Hormuz, oil prices were up around 6% Sunday evening. They're still looking high. Last time I checked, Brent crude was at 95.42 Sunday night. WTI, the main U.S. reference, was at 89.77. And it's tough to see if gas prices are going to go down. We did hear from Chris Wright, the energy secretary, over the weekend. I'll bring you those comments momentarily. But first, Donald Trump on Truth Social. Iran decided to fire bullets yesterday in the Strait of Hormuz, a total violation of our ceasefire agreement. Many of them were aimed at a French ship and a freighter from the United Kingdom. That wasn't nice, was it? My representatives are going to Islamabad, Pakistan. They will be there tomorrow evening for negotiations. Iran recently announced that they were closing the strait, which is strange because our blockade has already closed it. Is that like the equivalent of you can't fire me, I quit? Feels like it. Because our blockade has already closed it. They're helping us without knowing. And they are the ones that lose with closed passage, $500 million a day. The United States loses nothing. In fact, many ships are headed right now to the U.S., Texas, Louisiana, and Alaska to load up. Compliments of the IRGC, always wanting to be the tough guy. We're offering a very fair and reasonable deal, and I hope they take it, because if they don't, the United States is going to knock out every single power plant and every single bridge in Iran. No more Mr. Nice Guy, the president went on to say. They'll come down fast. They'll come down easy. If they don't take that deal, it will be my honor to do what has to be done, which should have been done to Iran by other presidents for the last 47 years. It's time for the Iran killing machine to end. President Donald J. Trump. The U.S. Navy did blow a hole in the side of an Iranian ship, which is absolutely wild. This happened on Sunday evening. Sunday afternoon, Donald Trump posted this on Truth Social, saying, today an Iranian-flagged cargo ship named Tuska, nearly 900 feet long and weighing almost as much as an aircraft carrier, tried to get past our naval blockade. It did not go too well for them. The U.S. Navy guided missile destroyer USS Spruance intercepted the Tuska in the Gulf of Oman, gave them fair warning to stop. The Iranian crew refused to listen, so our Navy ship stopped them right in their tracks by blowing a hole in the engine room. Right now, U.S. Marines have custody of the vessel. The Tuska is under U.S. Treasury sanctions because of the prior history of illegal activity. We have full custody of the ship and what's on board. President Donald J. Trump. If you didn't hear what happened over in the Gulf of Oman when they took that ship, this is what it sounded like from the U.S.'s perspective. And if you're watching on Super Talk TV, you'll get the visual as well on YouTube and on Rumble. If you're jumping over there to watch this, don't forget to smash subscribe while you're there.
Motor Vessel Toska, Motor Vessel Toska, vacate your engine room. Vacate your engine room. We're prepared to subject you to disabling fire. We gave the flare. Now we're getting
And those shots that you heard went straight into the engine room. I heard Joan on the way in, and I agreed with her completely, which, I mean, it happens all the time. But she's like, it was amazing that they knew exactly where the engine room was and how they could just precisely strike right there and then get the ship. It's unbelievable. People are mad at me on the text line. For starters, they're mad at me for telling young Mason to take life lessons from Marshall. 'Twas a joke. 'Twas a joke, my friends. And then Keith said, no. 9506 said, unpatriotic, Chris, for you to tell people to dodge the draft by bone spurs. Again, 'twas a joke. 'Twas a joke.
Just kidding.
You guys, how I've been here for how long? They don't get the dry humor, the sarcasm.
Yeah, coming up on 3 years now.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be 3 years before we know it.
Isn't that nuts?
And we'll just have we'll still be in war with Iran.
Yeah,
I think. I don't know. All right, major development. President Trump says he expects Iran to sign a deal tonight. It seems like this is going to be one of their only options. Maria Bartiromo was talking about this yesterday on Fox News. I don't know what other cards they have to play at this point if you're the Iranians.
Expecting Iran to sign an agreement tomorrow night in Pakistan, and that all items have now been negotiated. However, the president said if they do not sign the deal, the U.S. will blow up every power plant and more in Iran. The president told me just moments ago this should be, quote, quick, because negotiation is done, that they tried to go back on the deal, but now they are not, and he is expecting Iran to sign the agreement tomorrow night. The U.S. potentially on the doorstep of escalation ahead of the temporary 2-week ceasefire expiring this upcoming week.
I just don't know how we can expect Iran to sign the deal now. It seems like every time they say they're going to do something, they go back on it. So why are we going to trust them to sign a deal? And if they do sign a deal tonight with J.D. Vance, how long until they renege on that deal? I mean, I don't have a lot of faith. I'm not sure how this ends. I think it needs to end soon. Iran is reportedly refusing to commit to peace talks publicly. They're not even saying that they're going to go. So what do we do from here? Again, Iran is publicly refusing to commit to the peace talks as it stands right now. This is the latest that I've heard. Things could change at any moment, but that's what Fox News was reporting just yesterday.
If the deal isn't done, the deal that we made, then I'm going to take out their bridges and their power plants. He went on to say, if they don't sign this thing, the whole country is going to get blown up. Now, Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson today held a press conference saying the Iranians have not yet agreed to talks on Tuesday and that they are currently reviewing U.S. proposals. Guys?
So no agreements from the Iranians. That's where we're at right now. One thing that has been made official is that President Trump has refused and ruled out releasing cash, loosening sanctions for the Iranians. He's not going full Obama.
President Trump doesn't want them to have a nuclear weapon, doesn't want them to enrich uranium, doesn't even want those facilities to remain intact. Will sanctions relief be a part of these negotiations?
It's a great question, and the short answer is we don't know what the final agreement will look like, but the president did tell me they're not going to make the same mistakes of the Obama administration in terms of releasing cash to the Iranians that could be used to then funnel back into the IRGC military programs, their ballistic missile program, and even whatever is left of the nuclear program. The bottom line here is the focus is related to Iran's nuclear program and that highly enriched uranium that was buried in the aftermath of Operation Midnight Hammer. The agreement on the table would involve Iran giving up that enriched uranium, opening the Strait of Hormuz, and stopping their support of regional proxies. And the president said that is the agreement that they must sign, and if they do not sign, this war will resume.
But that's the agreement that Donald Trump said on Friday had been agreed to. He said that it was agreed that they wouldn't go after nuclear weapons. It was agreed that we were going to be able to get the nuclear the nuclear dust, if you will, from those bombing attacks on the nuclear facilities. And again, I'm not saying that the president lied. I'm saying that the Iranians could have told him that point blank and not been telling the truth. So how much trust are you putting in the Iranians at this point? Slim to none? Slim to none. Meanwhile, Energy Secretary Chris Wright was out on CNN over the weekend, State of the Union with Fake Tapper, and he said that it is not safe to travel through the Strait of Hormuz at this moment.
Words, of course, right? Because the Iranians are firing upon vessels that are trying to go through the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump had said it was open for business, but then this morning he noted that Iran fired upon a French ship and a UK freighter. So just to be clear, it's not safe right now to go through the Strait of Hormuz, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. The president said, well, let me just follow up on that. When will it be?
I think after a deal is reached. After a deal is reached. It won't be in the too distant future. People are ready to go. Ships are there. The United States put through 2 warships through the straits. We can open it one way or the other, but the best way to do it is to have an end to the conflict and a defanged and de-armed Iran.
That's Energy Secretary Chris Wright on CNN. He's absolutely right when he says it's not safe to go through the Strait of Hormuz. It wasn't just French ships or English ships that were being fired upon. An Indian ship was also fired on, the Sanmar Herald. This is what it said. They were very panicked. They said, Sir, we're on the list, and you said that we could go through. What are you doing?
Sepa Navy. This is Motor Angastan Marhedal. You gave me clearance to go. My name second on your list. You gave me clearance to go. You are firing now. Let me turn back.
You're firing now. Let me turn back. Yeah, it's not safe.
Sepa Navy. This is Motor Angastan Marhedal. You gave me clearance to go. My name second on your list. You gave me clearance to go. You are firing now. Let me turn back.
Even when they give ships clearance, there's no guarantee that you're getting through. But a lot of this impacts everyday Americans, and we're seeing it at the pump. Energy Secretary Chris Wright was asked, when do gas prices go back to normal?
So when you were on the show March 8th, I asked you when gas prices would go under $3 a gallon for regular unleaded. You said, quote, in the worst case, this is a week's, this is not a month's thing. That was 6 weeks ago, so we're still within the weeks realm, but we're 2 weeks away from the month's thing. When do you think it's realistic for Americans to expect that gas will go back to under $3 a gallon?
I don't know. That could happen later this year. That might not happen until next year. But prices have likely peaked, and they'll start going down. Certainly with a resolution of this conflict, you'll see prices go down. Prices across the board on energy prices will go down.
But next year. Next year. He said possibly next year. That's not a good look. It's not going to be good for midterms. And if you're planning on traveling this summer, I would suggest that you book those flights early. Secretary Sean Duffy talking about the prices of jet fuel.
So let's start here. The strait's closed, strait's open, strait is closed again. Now there's some bad news from Delta Airlines. There's this Bloomberg story. It says the carrier's fuel prices have doubled in the past month. The quote is, we have to find ways to get that cost passed through to consumers, Delta CEO Ed Bastian said. It won't happen overnight. Secretary Duffy, that's not good.
No, not good at all.
Well, so first off, a lot of the carriers are eating the cost increase of jet fuel right now. Good side is we have great supply chains for jet fuel into the U.S. That's not always the story in the rest of the world because of Donald Trump's energy dominance initiatives that he started over a year ago. But yeah, listen, we're having a small spike in jet fuel. But if you look in the out years, we think once this conflict is over, we're going to see jet fuel go lower than it was before the Iran conflict. So yes, a small disruption, hopefully for a short period of time, but in the long run, it becomes cheaper for Americans to travel because of decreased jet fuel prices.
I mean, that could be true that it will be cheaper in the long run. But like I said moments ago, if you're planning on flying anywhere this summer, I would get those flights sooner rather than later. Secretary Duffy saying that the airlines are eating some of those costs for now. But I would just ask, how long are they going to be willing to eat those costs? This conflict is impacting everyday Americans. It's not a good look. It's not going to help us when we get to midterms. Energy Secretary Chris Wright saying gas prices will probably return to normal next year. Next year? We got midterms in November. We need to get this corrected ASAP. And it doesn't look like we're heading in that direction. Maybe I'm wrong. I want to be wrong, just for the record. Let the record show. I want to be wrong. But I think that this thing is going to drag out and drag out and drag out. It's 9:23. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. And just a heads up, Busy Bee is going to be out and about. They're at the Nashville Home Show this weekend, starting Friday, going through Sunday. You definitely want to link up with these guys and ask them about their brand new Spring Breathe Easy package. It's designed to help homeowners clear out dust, allergens, and pet dander before the summer heat arrives. This package includes an AC tune-up and a professional indoor air quality check, plus a dust inspection and premium air duct cleaning. This is going to remove buildup and debris inside your system that's hiding deep inside there. And it's going to make sure that your family is breathing the cleanest, healthiest air possible. But that's not all. Busy Bee is also going to install a whole home foam germicidal system to reduce the airborne contaminants. And with premium service, you're going to get a bonus unit fog deodorizer that's going to leave your system so fresh and so clean, just like spring itself. Now, you're getting all this value for $11.99 on 1.5 to 3 ton systems, regularly $1,800, or $15.99 on 3.5 to 5 ton units, regularly $20.99. You can take advantage of this today by calling 615-775-7833, 775-7833, or find them online, busybhvac.com.
Coming up, we'll take a look at whether peace talks appear to be on the books still after an incident in the Strait of Hormuz over the weekend. It's coming up here at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Phone lines are open for you. Text lines open for you, 615-737-9986. You can also jump in on the chat on YouTube and smash subscribe. I appreciate you guys doing that, helping us grow the digital footprint of the radio station. 6173 texted in and goes, the way they're sounding with the price of gas coming down really quick is the same as the previous administration with inflation was transitory. Gas ain't coming down real quick. It'll be next year before it comes down. I feel the same way. And listen, I think we're toast in the midterms if the gas doesn't come down. I think if this conflict goes on any longer, I think we are absolutely toast in the midterms. And to be fair, and also to be fair, we probably had an uphill battle in the midterms anyway, just looking at the historical context of the incumbent losing House seats. I mean, we all know this, but this doesn't help us by any stretch of the imagination. And then we're going to have a lame duck presidency. Impeachments, investigations, you name it, and it's not gonna get cleaned up quick. On the way, we'll talk more about the conflict. We'll play you the moment the American forces blew a hole in the Iranian ship. We'll talk about President Trump and the concept of a deal being done. That's what he's saying. And also Iranian media claiming that the U.S. military fired upon an Iranian merchant ship, but because of the IRGC's rapid response, Iran forced America to flee, retreat, and all that. It's bovine scatology from the Iranians. But that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. And a lot of people wondering, how does Iran even have boats to fire upon ships in the Strait of Hormuz? I thought we decimated their Navy. It's a good question, one that we don't have the answer for, but we'll keep asking. We'll talk about the peace talks on the way and more. It's 9:30 on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
I'm Joan Jones with your top stories, and peace talks between the U.S. and Iran are still in question this morning after an incident on the Strait of Hormuz over the weekend.
President Trump on social media Sunday saying the U.S. forcibly seized an Iranian-flagged cargo ship near the strait that tried to pass the naval blockade. Iran has yet to respond. The president also announcing his representatives will be heading to Islamabad, Pakistan for another round of peace talks on Monday, adding attacks on Iran may continue if an agreement is not reached by Wednesday when the ceasefire between the two countries expires.
ABC's Selena Wang there. The ship seizure comes after Iran fired on two ships from India, both of which had claimed Iran gave them clearance before firing on them. The Renaissance Festival returns to Castle Park in Arrington for its 40th year. News 2's Kenley Hargett saying it all starts May 2nd and continues for 5 straight weekends.
Organizers have chosen a different theme for each weekend, including Nordic Invasion and Echoes of Olympus. This year's festival will also mark the debut of a new entertainment venue. Parking is free. Guests are encouraged to bring cash since most vendors have limited connectivity for digital payments.
Also back next this year are the sword fights and Queen Elizabeth I. Also, a cruise ship out of Galveston, Texas, came across a stranded sailor and his cat floating in the Gulf of America not long after that ship launched. Here's passenger Aaron Myers.
Crazy, wild, fun, because we were able to successfully rescue them. I think that, the vibe on board would have been a lot different if it wasn't successful.
Yeah, for sure. Carnival Cruise Line said that sailor did not appear to be injured, but had been floating around for a couple of days. After the rescue, the cruise resumed its scheduled itinerary. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at United Structural Systems. You know them as USS. We know them as the guys to call whenever you have foundation issues or waterproofing issues. They're the absolute best. They've been doing the work since 1994. Over 30,000 satisfied customers. Is because they do the job right the first time. If you're noticing water getting into your crawl space or into your basement, or you've been noticing, but you tend to think, okay, well, the water dried up, the problem is gone, we'll deal with this a little bit later. Stop doing that. You could be leading yourself into much more troubled waters with mold, foundation issues, wood rot. You don't want that. You want to fix the problem while it's small. USS can do that for you. They're going to send an expert to your home, not a sales guy worried about his quota. And they'll map out a custom plan to fix your waterproofing issues. Or if you have a bigger problem, they can fix that too. If you're dealing with foundation issues, especially after severe weather, connect with a company committed to quality and community. That's United Structural Systems. That's USS. 615-488-7855. 615-488-7855. And they're always online. USSTN.com. 37 minutes past the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You're welcome to join the show any way you'd like. 615-737-9986. That's the number to call in. That's the number to text in. You can also jump in on the text line, on the YouTube chat as well. We're over there live on Super Talk TV. Smash subscribe while you're there. Peace talks on the way. President Trump saying that a concept of a deal is done when it comes to peace talks that are scheduled for this evening in Islamabad, Pakistan. This is round 2 of peace talks. And again, President Trump says a concept of a deal is done.
For more peace talks.
Trey Yingst has the very latest after speaking with President Trump earlier this morning. Trey, what else have we learned?
Yeah, guys, good morning. I spoke with President Trump today, who told me if Iran does not sign this deal, the whole country is going to get blown up. The president went on to say we are preparing to hit them harder than any country has ever been hit before because you cannot let them have a nuclear weapon. Now, the ceasefire between the United States and Iran is set to end in under 72 hours. The president tells me both Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff are headed to the region. They will meet with the Iranians in Islamabad, Pakistan on Tuesday. This comes amid a focus on the Strait of Hormuz, where 2 vessels attempting to pass through the strait over the weekend reported gunfire toward their ships. Other vessels were able to pass, but the Iranians say the strait is closed once again and in their control.
Pool's closed. Can't get through. I mean, who's really closing it? The Iranians are mad that we weren't letting Iranian ships through, even during the ceasefire. So they pulled back and said, no, we're done. And they started firing on ships. It's absolute chaos out there. In fact, the United States is well equipped for the chaos. They are now surging more resources to the area. The USS Gerald Ford is back in action and on location in Iran.
The talks resuming with Iran Tuesday, this time in Geneva. Trump has dispatched a second aircraft carrier to the region, the USS Gerald R. Ford.
Now, a lot of conversation online has said that these peace talk negotiations, they're not serious from the United States perspective, that what this is giving us cover to build up assets in the region for a ground invasion. I hope that that's not true. That's just speculation online. Nobody knows for sure what the Trump administration is going to do, except for the Trump administration. And I actually like it that way. Keep it mysterious. Don't give away too much. But we know that J.D. Vance is on the way down there for these peace talks. The Iranians aren't committing to it publicly. I would imagine that they're going to come to the table. I don't know why they wouldn't, but we'll see what happens as soon as this evening.
Hi, Kevin. So negotiations are back on despite some back and forth reporting that we had seen earlier on in the day. The White House tells Fox that Vice President J.D. Vance will be in attendance and he will be leading the delegation back in Pakistan once again. And it comes as the clock is ticking to reach a new deal, because we know that this current ceasefire deal, this 2-week deal, is set to expire on Wednesday. So there's a lot of diplomatic efforts ramping back up once again to land a new deal before then. After those historic face-to-face talks last weekend, Vice President Vance will be joined once again by envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. Yesterday, Iran said that it received new proposals from the U.S., and the country's deputy foreign minister warned that a framework of understanding must be agreed to first. President Donald Trump today posted on Truth Social, writing, quote, "We're offering a very fair and reasonable deal, and I hope they take it, because if they don't, the United States is going to knock out every single power plant, every single bridge in Iran." So the president facing some quick criticism because of those words this morning, but also over the war in general. Take a listen.
American troops have died, others are being injured, and Americans are paying $1 more for gas because of President Trump's war of choice. I think it is very, very unwise after 25 years of war in the Middle East to go back into it.
And Energy Secretary Chris Wright defended the president's words and actions today on Fox News Sunday.
Look, the president's using every way he can to get leverage over the regime to bring this conflict to an end. He's a creative negotiator.
We'll see what happens with negotiations tonight. I'm not going to get into the Democrat hand-wringing. You know, Tim Kaine is on that clip, the former first dude for Hillary Clinton. He was going to be the second in command if she had won in 2016, the senator out of Virginia. He's like, oh, gas is about $1 higher. It's like, okay. Miss me with that, because we all know what the Democrats were trying to do under Joe Biden. They wanted gas to go higher. They said it was a good thing because then everybody would switch over to electric vehicles. They don't care about gas prices. They don't care about American citizens. They care about bludgeoning President Trump. which is all fine and well. We understand what their perspective is and where they're coming from. Great. Discount that. But there are real concerns here for Americans, and it is hitting Americans in the pocketbook. I read a text earlier saying that, the gas price conversation with the Trump administration feels a lot like the inflation conversation with the Biden administration. It's beginning to. I hope that it's not true. I hope these peace talks are more than successful tonight, but we'll see what happens. Donald Trump was asked yesterday, this clip was circulating around, about on Air Force One, about a ceasefire deal and what happens if Iran backs away from the negotiating table. This was the president.
If you don't have a deal by Wednesday when the ceasefire ends, will you extend the ceasefire or will you start attacks again?
Maybe I won't extend it.
Okay.
But the blockade is going to remain. But maybe I won't extend it. So you have a blockade, and unfortunately we'll have to start dropping bombs again.
I mean, I don't think the Iranians want that. There will be a blockade in place and bombs falling. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't think the Iranians care about their people at all. I mean, as evident by the 50,000 protesters that they slaughtered in the streets. They don't care about their own people. They care about power, and that's what they're trying to hang on to. But President Trump has also said that they are not going to be able to toll ships in the Strait. There was the big talking point. What was it, last week? Oh, President Trump agreed to let them have $2 million per ship. That was never an official release from the Trump administration. It was fake news. And President Trump going on the record over the weekend saying they're never going to be allowed to toll ships in the Strait of Hormuz.
In the Strait, are there going to be restrictions and tolls managed by Iran for ships and vessels passing through?
No way. No
None
way.
at all?
Nope.
No restrictions?
Mr.
President, you talked about Gaza, Mr. President.
Restrictions, yeah, there'll be restrictions. You can't do the tolls. No, they're not going to be tolls.
No tolls. Not happening. What is happening, though, is a negotiation tonight, and if that fails, probably bombing in the morning. President Trump prepared to unleash fury. That's what he told Trey Yingst over the weekend on a telephone call.
Kevin, I've talked with President Trump a number of times since Operation Epic Fury began. During our conversation today, I got the sense he is very serious about targeting Iranian infrastructure if they do not make a good faith deal. This is largely seen as the last diplomatic attempt. And he told me the U.S. has a massive amount of ammunition, even better ammunition, he said, than they had at the beginning of Operation Epic Fury. And that speaks to those transport planes that are continuing to prepare here in the region should these diplomatic talks in Islamabad fail. But the president's mood, as it has been throughout this conflict, has been very focused on what he's going to get out of the deal. The sense that I get is the Iranians are going to have to make serious concessions on a variety of topics. One has to do with the enriched uranium that is buried deep underground in the Operation Midnight Hammer. Remember last summer when those B-2 bombers targeted Iranian nuclear facilities, that enriched uranium was buried underground. The president wants that nuclear material removed from the country. He also wants the Strait of Hormuz opened and an end to Iranian support of regional proxies like Hamas, the Houthis, and Hezbollah. The president wants an all-or-nothing deal here. This is not going to be a partial deal, and he told me that the U.S. is not going to make the same mistakes of the Obama administration, just giving cash to the Iranians that they could use to support their military program. So a lot of focus on these talks in Islamabad on Tuesday, and again, this is really seen as a last-ditch effort to get a deal done.
Last-ditch effort to get a deal done happening tonight in Islamabad, Pakistan. Earl in Murfreesboro is on the line, wants to weigh in. What's up, Earl? How we doing?
I'm doing fine, sir. Enjoy your program.
I appreciate you.
I just want to say something. If the Republican Party don't get together and get behind President Trump and support the people that's running for office, the Democrat Party will take back over the House, will take back over the Senate. See, we lost another one. A woman won a Democrat Party the other day. Barney Sanders went up there and helped her because the king told him to go help her, and she got elected. So that's another one. The Democrat Party, they're not stupid. They do some stupid stuff, but they got a king leader that's telling them what to do. Republicans need to get off their lazy butts and help these people that's running for these offices.
I get that, but don't you think that a lot of these wounds from the Trump administration are self-inflicted and that they're hurting themselves by alienating a lot of the independents and libertarians that we brought in under the big tent to get them elected in 2024?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the Republican Party, to be honest, they're stupid. They can't see the nose off their face. They're just sitting back. Well, I got mine. If you want it, you're going to have to get out and get it yourself. I'm a member of the I Got Mine Club. So I hope that they get up off their butt and help these people that's running for office, because if they don't, come November, the Democrats are going to take it all back over, and their first objective is to impeach President Trump. That'll be their first goal.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I just think that a lot of what got us the win in election was in 2024 was Big Tent politics, and we're alienating a lot of those guys that we brought into the Big Tent. And in these latest negotiation talks, they say we have to get them to agree to let us get the nuclear dust and agree that they're not going to make a nuclear weapon. But it was just 3 days ago, Friday, that President Trump said that they already agreed to that.
The big thing we have to do is we have to make sure that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon, because if they do, you want to talk about problems, you'd have problems. So very important is that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon, and they've agreed to that. Iran's agreed to that, and they've agreed to it very powerfully. They've agreed to give us back the nuclear dust that's way underground because of the attack we made with the B-2 bombers. So we have a lot of agreement with Iran, and I think something's going to happen very positive.
So that was Friday, and I'm not here to say that the president was lying. I'm here to say that the Iranians were lying. So what good can come out of these negotiations? If the Iranians look at J.D. Vance across the negotiating table and agree to every single demand that they have, and then they walk away and ignore everything they just talked about, which is very, very likely, where does that leave us in 2 days? We'll have great market results tomorrow. Everything will be booming. Price of oil will drop, and then Wednesday, we'll see the exact same thing that we saw happen over the weekend. Chaos. And I don't trust the Iranians at all. I trust the Trump administration. I'm praying for them to get us out of this conflict very, very quickly. It doesn't seem like that's going to be happening. It just doesn't. And maybe I'm wrong. I hope I am. But we'll see what happens. Mike Waltz was on Fox News over the weekend, and he said that as of right now, Iranian leadership, or excuse me, it was ABC. He said as of right now, Iranian leadership is in complete disarray, and it's because of the actions from the Trump administration.
Well, the Iranian command and control and government is in absolute disarray because of the devastating attacks across its leadership. You're right. You heard the Iranian foreign minister say it's open, and then the IRGC step in and say, no, it's closed. Regardless, it's the blockade, the U.S. Navy, and President Trump who's ultimately deciding what gets in and out. So he has completely turned the tables on Iran's attempt to hold the entire world's economies hostage, on its attempt to punish the world as a result of this dispute over its nuclear program. But to your point, I promise you, I assure you, the United States doesn't trust anything. Any agreement that comes out will have to be verifiable and enforceable. And back to my position here in the United Nations, the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, and its nuclear inspectors, I'm confident will be a key part of whatever's resolved.
I mean, they need to be a key part of it. Otherwise, how are we going to know for sure? I mean, what are we doing? 6627 said instead of bombing infrastructure, he should bomb the ports on the strait. Less pain on the people, more on the government. I'd be fine with that. I just want this over as quickly as humanly possible. I think that's what we all want. Just get it done. Get it done as quickly as possible. Ambassador Mike Waltz said everything is currently on the table, whether that's bridges, whether that's power plants, everything is on the table. This was with Meet the Press over the weekend. Ambassador Waltz was doing a heck of a tour.
Well, so let me talk to you about the ceasefire between the United States and Iran, as you know, set to expire on Wednesday. President Trump warned in his post this morning, if there's no deal, the U.S. will, quote, knock out every single power plant and every single bridge in Iran. No more Mr. Nice Guy. If there is no deal by Wednesday, will the president extend the ceasefire agreement?
Well, that's ultimately a decision for the president, and I'm certainly not going to negotiate on national television.
Understood, but is it on the table? Is it on the table? Is that possibility on the table?
Everything
absolutely everything's on the table, and the president's made it very clear he is prepared to de-escalate this conflict, as he should be. But I just want to get ahead of this other ridiculous and frankly irresponsible narrative that this would somehow constitute a, quote, war crime that we've heard from Democratic politicians, the media, and others in the international community. That is wrong. It's irresponsible. And we have a long history of taking down bridges, power plants, and other infrastructure that is powering Iran's military, and they have a long history of conflating civilian and military assets, including hiding weapons caches, rockets, and military hardware in schools, hospitals, and other civilian neighborhoods, which is a war crime on Iran's part. So I just want, we just need to knock that down and stop that irresponsible rhetoric.
He's absolutely right. Nobody on this side is going to call it a war crime if they take out bridges and power plants. I mean, is it a necessary thing to do? I hope not. I hope that Iran comes to the negotiating table in good faith. But if they don't, it's FAFO, right? And maybe that gets out of the conflict quicker. Maybe it extends it. It's a tough sell. We'll take your phone calls on the way, 615-737-9986. I also want to talk about the Stop Nick Shirley Act, which is going through in California. And also, we have some updates on accountability via a Cash Patel interview that happened over the weekend. We'll talk about that and more. It's 9:53. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. We talk about these guys all the time because they are the absolute best. And if you're dealing with pain, you want to go to the absolute best. That's the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They're not going to be focusing on opioids. They're not going to tell you painful injections will do the trick, and they're not going to advocate for surgery. No. If you're dealing with back or neck pain, sciatica, herniated or bulging disc, knee pain, or numbness in your arms or legs, you need to know about the Wellness Institute. These guys are going to use the most advanced technology known to man. From non-surgical spinal decompression, which is currently 47% off, to devices like the HydroWave. They're actually the first and only office in Tennessee with the device called the HydroWave, which is going to stimulate your stem cells for real cellular healing. Again, no surgery, no needles, no injections. They're going to use anti-gravity machines, robotic lasers, and they'll actually take the time to review your MRI, break it down, explain what's happening, and how to fix it. Start a pain-free life. It's within reach. Starts with a phone call, 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, or find them online, painisbad.com. 59 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Nick Shirley, he exposed fraud in California. And to thank him for that, they're going to make it illegal to expose fraud in California. Fines, possibly imprisonment. It's called the Stop Nick Shirley Act. What on earth is going on in California? We're going to break down the Stop Nick Shirley Act. Plus, Nick Shirley released a new video where he confronted local California politicians pushing this bill. And you'll never believe, you'll never guess who's actually behind this. Spoiler alert, it's someone very close to the guy who's supposed to be stopping crime in California. We'll bring you all the details on the Stop Nick Shirley Act on the way. A lot to get to. Hang out with us. It's 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 10 o'clock now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top story. It appears that Iran may not be sitting around the negotiating table in Pakistan. That's according to Pakistan's foreign minister. Iran is also now vowing retaliation after the U.S. fired on and seized an Iranian vessel on Sunday. Iran's now calling that armed piracy. Trey Yingst at Fox News says that Iran is playing a dangerous game.
This is largely considered the last chance for the Iranians. When I spoke with the president over the weekend, he was very clear. They are going to sign on the dotted line, or he's going to target their bridges and power plants. And it's a decision that Iranian officials have to make. And I'm told by regional sources today there is a divide among Iranian leadership about what to do and whether or not to call the president's bluff. But the president isn't bluffing. This is a very similar situation that we saw before Operation Epic Fury began. The United States is giving the Iranians an off-ramp here, a chance at diplomacy. And if they don't take it, the war is expected to resume.
And we will keep our eyes on any new developments. Here in Tennessee, a new drug is being blamed for the deaths of 41 people in and around Knox County. It's called cyclophorine, and it's 10 times more powerful than fentanyl.
The user does not know that they're taking this drug, and most likely the person who is selling this drug does not know that it's in this drug. We believe that it is being inserted some other place. This has to do with the disruption of fentanyl supply to America from some of the regulations that have been put on fentanyl in the last couple of years.
That's Chris Thomas, director of the Knox County Forensic Center on Fox News. He says that drug is not detectable through most test kits, so he believes there may be more deaths tied to this new drug than's already known. Tennessee lawmakers have passed a total ban on so-called gas station heroin. Kratom, derived from a Southeast Asian plant, is now banned fully and completely in the state of Tennessee. Kratom supporters say the plant can help to curb opioid addiction and manage pain. But others say kratom in any form can lead to addiction and potential overdoses. The bill is now heading to the governor's desk for signature. It would be set to take effect on July 1st. Checking out stocks for you here. The Dow Jones Industrials right now down 145. The Nasdaq falling 182. S&P 500 index is now down 31 points. Oil currently trading at $88 a barrel. That's the latest news. We've got your weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
It's 6 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. You can find me all over social media at Chris Hand on Air. That's Instagram, that's Twitter, that's True Social, that's TikTok, that's YouTube, that's Blue Sky. I do Blue Sky sparingly. The liberals are over there. It's fun to troll. We do a little bit of trolling. Find me on all the platforms that matter at Chris Hand on Air. We're talking about Nick Shirley. The Stop Nick Shirley Act is coming.
Yeah, so if this passes, the fraud's going to continue to get worse and worse. And if I were to go look into the fraud at one of these NGOs, let's say, that receives money for migrants, I could receive a $4,000 civil fine, a $10,000 criminal fine, or a $50,000 felony if this bill gets passed. And not only that, they'll also have the power to take down my videos. And they're basically trying to bankrupt journalists from looking into the fraud.
Yeah, they're trying to bankrupt you after you're having to fund your own private security. But the American people collectively say thank you, Nick Shirley.
Amen. I collectively, I think we all collectively say thank you to Nick Shirley. What he's been able to do, this alt-right extremist YouTuber, when exposing fraud has been unbelievable. The kid is an absolute monster. So there, in California, he exposed a lot of the hospice fraud. We've seen that. We've seen the videos. And in response to that, California went from saying, this doesn't happen at all, you guys are bigots and racists, to saying, okay, it happens, but we're already on top of it, to now, okay, it happens, and how dare those journalists try and expose it. So they're doing the Stop Nick Shirley Act, as you just heard there. Nick Shirley could face a $50,000 felony fine if he exposes an NGO that commits fraud for migrants. This is insanity. 100% insanity. They should be rolling out a red carpet for guys like Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley's reporting in California on the hospice fraud was so good and so ironclad that CBS went out there the next week and essentially replicated the exact video he did to rip it off because it was that good. It was that solid. And now the politicians, they're pushing the Stop Nick Shirley Act. So Nick Shirley didn't take this sitting down. He actually went and he confronted these lawmakers, and he put out a brand new 25-minute video where he's doing just that, confronting these lawmakers.
What do you think about the Stop Nick Shirley Act?
I think you're a psycho scam artist.
They don't want to end their fraud racket. A lot of the politicians, they benefit from the political organizations, and so they want this racket to continue. They don't want the truth to get out.
Stop fraud investigations, but you're the one who signed off and you're a co-author of it. Here in California, they are trying to pass the Stop Nick Shirley Act. The official title of this bill is AB 2624, and today we're going to be confronting the legislators that are trying to pass this bill. And if this bill were to get passed, instead of going after the fraudsters, they're trying to make it criminal to go after the people that are committing this fraud. For instance, it would become criminal to film and reveal info on taxpayer-funded immigration services like healthcare, which would include daycare, hospices. It also covers counseling services, translation services, and immigration legal services. So for instance, if the Quality Learning Center was inside of California, it would be illegal to expose them.
You know what I think is funny? I think that they're actually exposing themselves about where the other places of fraud are. You know, he mentions daycare services, he mentions hospice services, but then he also says, well, they tacked on a few other things to this bill.
And if this bill were to get passed, instead of going after the fraudsters, they're trying to make it criminal to go after the people that are committing this fraud. For instance, it would become criminal to film and reveal info on taxpayer-funded immigration services like healthcare, which would include daycare, hospices. It also covers counseling services, translation services, and immigration legal services.
So I think the next place that Nick Shirley should attack would be translation services, counseling services, immigration legal services. Is this just me? Did they reveal too much in the Stop Nick Shirley Act? I think so. There's a 25-minute video from Nick Shirley on all of this. If you want to see it, I've retweeted the whole thing on my X account at Chris Hand on Air. But we have some of the highlights, though, for you here on the radio. There's video in this as well, which does make it a bit more hilarious. If you're watching this on the YouTube, Rumble side of things, smash subscribe while you're there. But he goes after these journalists, after these lawmakers, and they don't want to talk to a journalist. They don't want anything to do with Nick Shirley. Let's go with Sadie El-Hawari. This is who he's confronting here in this video.
The Stop Nick Shirley Act, AB 2624.
Said I don't really
know
about
much about it? Or?
I don't know if I know that.
Oh, well, can I tell you a little bit about it?
Okay.
So
she bites a piece of kiwi and she goes, I'm okay. Nick continues to walk with her and says, all right, we're going to tell you about it. Each kiwi, we're going to let you know.
You should know. You should know about it, though, because it's kind of your job. So
Savage. You should know. I mean, it is your job, ma'am.
Stop Nick Shirley Act, what it does is it shields immigrant... Oh.
She turned around to walk the other way.
The Stop Nick Shirley Act shields immigration nonprofit workers from public record disclosure. It criminalizes publishing images and videos of covered workers, even taken in public, grants covered orgs power to demand video takedowns, imposes a $4,000 civil, $10,000 criminal, $50,000 felony fines per violation, applies to taxpayer-funded organizations. Would you support a bill that allows all that to take place?
Nothing.
It is your job. Would you support a bill? Yes or no, ma'am?
Can you take
Thank you, baby. It was so good to meet you. I hope you have a great day.
Ma'am, you're literally working for us, but you won't even answer our own questions.
And then she runs off and hides in a building. It was so good to meet you, baby. Thank you. It was so good to meet you. Why is it that these lawmakers don't want fraud exposed? Are they getting kickbacks? I mean, serious question. Are they getting kickbacks? Are they getting nice campaign donations from these hospice centers, from these daycare services? Is that the issue here? Or are they so ideological that the fact that Nick Shirley happens to be conservative, that anything he says has to be stomped out and crapped on? Is that part of the thing? It could be a mix of both. But that wasn't the only lawmaker he went after. That was Sadie El-Hawari. He also followed the California Speaker of the House and a senator for pushing the the Stop Nick Shirley Act as well. And the Speaker of the House wasn't too keen of Nick Shirley.
The bill AB 2624, why would you sign off on that? It's a direct violation of the First Amendment, and it makes it harder for people to expose fraud here.
We have Ledge Council. They check the constitutionality of all our bills as we're writing them. I work on fraud issues. You'd know that if you look at some of the work I did on the budget subcommittee.
Amazing. So Mia Bonta, her husband's Attorney General of the Attorney General of California, and it was only until I exposed fraud that they actually cracked down on the fraud and made some arrests here, especially with the hospices. And do you know that if this bill were to pass, it'd make it illegal for someone to go after fraud, especially if it's based off of immigrants, for instance, the Armenians in California?
No, I think that that's a misinterpretation of the bill, but I'm happy to talk with you more about it. And fraud and investigations into fraud are something that's been happening for a very long time. The Attorney General handles those cases. This is an ongoing issue.
It's a little weird that the wife of the Attorney General, Mia Bonta, is now pushing this bill that literally goes against the First Amendment.
No, I actually don't. I don't think that this bill violates the First Amendment. I mean,
really?
that's the whole purpose. We have Ledge Council and Ledge attorneys that talk with us about this. Constitutionality is really important to the work.
So your bill criminalizes publication of images recorded in public. Do you believe the government has the right to punish journalists for filming in public space?
No, I think that is a complete misinterpretation of actually the piece of legislation.
That is not. That's literally what would happen. Speaker Rivas, how are you doing? What do you think about the Stop Nick Shirley Act, AB 2624?
I don't know anything about it.
And do you think there's any conflict of interest there with Mia Bonta and her husband being the AG?
Nothing. He said he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know it. You're the Speaker of the House in California. You don't know anything about it. You heard him bring up Mia Bonta. That is the wife of the Attorney General of California, Rob Bonta. She is the one pushing the Stop Nick Shirley Act. This is insanity. So the wife of the Attorney General is mad that an alt-right extremist YouTuber, Nick Shirley, is exposing fraud, so they're going to criminalize that. Nick broke this down on Fox News, exactly how Mia Bonta, the wife of AG Rob Bonta, is involved in this.
Very interesting connections with her husband being the Attorney General of California. Their goal as a family should be to prosecute and take care and make sure that there is so little fraud in the state that they can have
such a peaceful night of sleep. However, while the Attorney General is supposed to be prosecuting fraud, his wife is creating laws to let fraud continue. They're specifically saying that NGOs who receive money based off immigrant services don't have to disclose their money. And so we know that they use those services to commit fraud.
You know, Nick, it's interesting to me that people who will scream fascism or authoritarianism the loudest are now rushing to criminalize investigative journalism. I think that sort of speaks for itself. We played a clip here on the show last evening.
It does speak for itself. And there's verifiable fraud happening in the state of California. We've seen some arrests, which is great. We need to see more. But the administration is taking a whole of government approach against this stuff, thanks to the reporting from Nick Shirley. So we have the anti-fraud task force that's being headed up by J.D. Vance. Dr. Oz is in the weeds on that anti-fraud task force. And he was talking about they shut off funding for 450 California hospice providers, okay? They stopped it. They blocked the payments. Do you know how many of those 450 hospice locations have reached out to the government to ask for the funding to be turned back on? Zero. If you guessed zero, you were correct. A goose egg. Dr. Oz explained on News Nation.
A little bit of red flag. And I'll make this announcement on your show, we have stopped payments to 450 hospices in California. Guess what? Not one has called us asking to reinstitute them. Wow. Now, they may change their minds over time, but in 10 weeks, we've shut down 450 payment systems to these guys. That's representing at least $600, $700 million just this year, and no one's complaining because they know they got caught. And that's sort of the scary part about the system. When you knock on their door and say, hey, we're here. I did that with the U.S. Attorney Billy Escalation in Los Angeles when we went in with the SWAT team. Right. These guys don't fight back. They know they bought multi-million-dollar mansions in these posh neighborhoods. They've got beautiful cars, lots of them, all bought with ill-gotten gains made from defrauding the American taxpayer. When they're caught, they don't argue. They knew it might happen one day. They're sort of surprised that we came for them. But my message for them is very clear. Don't walk, run away, because we're coming for you.
I love the message. The message needs to be delivered. And California, they've gotten the message, and they're going to try and stop Nick Shirley because of it. They're going to try and stop the investigative journalists. Well, I mean, they might succeed in being able to stop Nick Shirley, but they're not going to succeed in stopping the anti-fraud task force. As you can hear there from Dr. Oz, 450 hospice locations had their funding shut off, blocked completely. Payments were stopped. Zero have called to ask to have the funding back on because they know exactly what time it is. I wouldn't be shocked if a lot of these guys fled the country with the money. I mean, seriously, they probably ghosted. They're out. They're going to take their cash and they're going to run.
Before we go, we have to ask you about this. You shared a story recently about President Trump telling you that diet soda kills.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to hit that there. Dr. Oz is a beast. Nick Shirley is a national treasure. Nick Shirley continues to go out and do this despite the danger that he's in.
Yeah, so the danger is real. Like, for instance, last time I was in California, a few trips back, people were trying to dox my location live. I was at a hotel, and people were up on Reddit group chats saying where I was staying. And it's happened a few times now, so it's like almost even dangerous for me to go stay at hotels because you can get doxxed really quick and people can find out where you're at. You get constant death threats from people. The fraudsters are angry. In fact, yeah, they're very angry. I've had death threats, and one of them was even very specific about the date. It's actually supposed to be coming up very soon, the date that they said they'd kill me. So that was interesting. And you just get all these death threats. You get doxing. But the majority of the public are very thankful. Like, when I'm out in public, so many people come up to me and say thank you. It's actually interesting at Sacramento, when I was just there, so many people were saying thank you. But the people inside the building, they all hate me because I'm exposing their corruption. But the people love me.
Yeah, I love Nick Shirley. I'm grateful for the work that he's doing. We need about 1,000 more Nick Shirleys, and we need them in every single state exposing the fraud that's happening at breathtaking levels in this country. $600 to $700 million in those hospice block payments, Dr. Oz said, alone. Now scale that out and do everything else. Again, the Stop Nick Shirley Act isn't just going after the hospice the hospice investigations or the daycare investigations. They're also going after counseling services, immigration law services. I mean, essentially, they told on themselves in the Nick Shirley Act where they think the fraud is happening and where the investigation should continue. I hope these investigations continue, and I pray that they're fruitful. Dave in Lewisburg wants to talk about the Cali fraud. What's up, Dave?
Hey, man, what's going on?
What's up? What do you got?
Well, I mean, how come they're not? I know they got the FBI involved in this. How come they're not going after these people? They said all these hospices they quit giving them money, but have they went after any of them yet?
There have been some arrests, but they were in there were some federal arrests and there was some local California arrests, but that was a couple weeks ago. I'm kind of shady on the details. We did report it a couple weeks ago.
Man, they need to get these criminals, man. It's taxpayer money they're stealing.
You're absolutely right.
They got to get. Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I appreciate the call. Yeah, this is April 2nd. The White House Fraud Task Force made its first arrest in California. Hold on one second. Let me get this up. This was, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, hospice fraud arrests.
And a Fox News alert, we're just learning that this morning, federal law enforcement conducting raids across Southern California targeting alleged healthcare fraudsters. William Lajeunesse has more from Covina, California. That's just east of L.A. You've been on this story for a while. What happened?
Good morning, Dana. Yeah, this is the first takedown for the new White House Fraud Task Force. They arrested two owners of two hospices here in greater Los Angeles. They're accused of collectively stealing about $16 million from...
It's insane. Two people, $16 million, two arrests. So that was a couple weeks back. There may have been more arrests in the meantime, but that was the one that I remembered. And that's not enough. That is not enough at all. That is the tip of the iceberg on the fraud in California. We need to see more arrests. We need to see more accountability. And when you hear stuff like this, you're like, oh, if they're willing to commit fraud at this level, and then the government is willing to cover it up by criminalizing the investigative journalists like Nick Shirley, it's like, where else are you committing fraud? And your mind immediately goes to voting, right? Does yours go there as well? Mine does. What's the latest on the Save America Act? We'll bring you some updates on the way. Doesn't look too good, especially if you trust our own representative, Tim Burchett. We'll talk about it when we get back. It's 1022 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friend Aaron Parker over at Parker Safes and Vaults in Shelbyville. And if you're storing firearms, cash, gold, jewelry, passports, or even just photo albums at home, you don't want to lose them. You don't want to lose them in a fire or to theft. Here's something that most people don't realize. Not all safes are created equal. This is why you need to go to a trusted dealer like Parker Safes and Vaults in Shelbyville. They're our veteran-owned, family-run safe and vault door business right here in Middle Tennessee. I mean, we all want a safe, but there are some questions that we have. Where do we put it? How do we get it installed? Which safe do we buy? See, this is exactly where Aaron and his sons come in and help. They'll take care of all of this. They'll help you choose the best safe for your needs and your budget. They'll offer advice on the best place to put it. They'll deliver it, and they'll carefully install it themselves. You can start on their YouTube page. They have a detailed video review of every safe that they have in stock. Search Parker Safes on YouTube. Right now, Aaron told me that they have some amazing deals on safes in stock. These aren't the big box store cabinets. They're quality safes from brands like American Security, Rhino, Liberty, Heyman, and more. Don't put it off any longer. Call my friend Aaron today. 931-842-6445. 931-842-6445. And if you mention Chris Hand when you're buying a nice safe, you'll get a free pistol safe while supplies last. Thanks to our friend at Parker Safes and Vaults. Online, parkersafes.com.
Some breaking news regarding Iran, and a woman living in L.A. just busted for trying to help Iran. We've got that and more coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC. A lot of people on the text line commenting on the Stop Nick Shirley Act, saying, how does this not violate the First Amendment and the Constitution? Well, it 100% does. And if this was to go through, I imagine lawsuits, and I could see this going all the way up to the Supreme Court. I don't think that Nick is going to be hurt in the end. In fact, I agree with what one texter said. One texter said, if I was Nick Shirley, I'd be flattered as heck. Yep, 40-60. Absolutely right. It's kind of like a badge of honor. Your reporting is so good that these Californians want to shut you down by any means necessary. But when you see them defending the fraud, you immediately go to, like, what else are you guys doing? What other fraud are you committing? And if they're willing to cover for these migrants that are in their states committing fraud like this, then I would imagine that they'd be willing to cover up all sorts of fraud, up to and including voter fraud, which is why we need the Save America Act. Tim Burchett, we love Tim, dadgummit. He's not exactly 100% certain that GOP leadership is pushing the Save America Act in good faith.
Hey, everybody, Tim Burchett. People are asking me about what's going on with the Save America Act. Well, the Senate, of course, is dragging their feet. The House has passed it twice. I've got a sneaking suspicion that they'll probably attempt to pass it or pass it so late in the dadgum game that it can't get implemented. And then they can go home and say, oh, look, we passed it, and everybody will be celebrating, patting them on the back. And then it just cannot get implemented at the state and local level in time for it to have any effect in these elections.
Which would be infuriating. Absolutely infuriating. This is why we needed to nuke the filibuster 3 months ago. Because everybody gets that, right? GOP senators are pushing to nuke the filibuster and use J.D. Vance as a weapon to pass legislation. GOP senators, not including John Thune. No, John Thune he's a rhino. Rick Scott, who should have been our GOP leader in the Senate, he wants to nuke the filibuster today.
An ID to vote. You should have to show you're American citizen to register to vote. Overwhelming, over 80% of Americans, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, want this. The only reason Senate Democrats are against it is they have to want fraud. The only way this is going to happen is we have to blow up the filibuster. The filibuster was never supposed to stop a bill. It was supposed to stop debate. The Democrats are using it to stop this bill. We need to blow up the filibuster and pass this with 50 Republican votes.
Well, Leader Thune says you don't have the votes to do that. So what's plan B?
Well, I mean, we have to keep working on it. I would tell everybody, call every Republican, every Democrat senator and tell them how important it is to secure our elections.
She goes, Leader Thune says you don't have the votes for that. I say, yes, Leader Thune is a clown. I mean, he needs to whip his party into shape the way Nancy Pelosi used to do back in the day. Nobody follows this guy. No one. I mean, some leader. I was looking at the text line, and somebody's like, yeah, Trump has done a lot of great things, but it can all be undone by the stroke of a pen. Yeah, and you can blame the Republican Party for that in both the House and the Senate for not codifying what Donald Trump has done so far. We need to nuke the filibuster. Leader Thune needs to get on it. I highly doubt that is ever going to happen because, Republicans are weak and they'd much rather complain and say, help us fight against the Democrats, donate today. It's like, I do really believe that Senate Republicans want to be in the minority because then there's no accountability and they don't have to get anything done rather than be in the majority and then have some accountability and not get anything done. It's insane. 1031 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Information fueled, opinion driven. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Choose one of Wendy's new Biggie Deals. At $4, $6, and $8, pick one of the new Biggie Deals you're craving. For a pretty Biggie deal, gotta be Wendy's. U.S. price and participation may vary.
Hey, this is Chad Rowland with RTM Roofing. Are you the type of person that takes pride in your home? Let RTM Roofing help with the exterior, with your roof, with your siding, with your soffit, fascia, your gutters, your chimney caps. Home insulation now, too. Call RTM Roofing at 615-500-0751 or go to rtmroofing.com, scroll to the bottom, and fill out the contact card. Let RTM Roofing help you get ready for summer.
If you don't care about saving 50% off your wireless bill for the same 5G coverage the big guys are charging a fortune for, maybe you care about keeping jobs in America. Pure Talk does. They've pledged to run their entire operation from this country, including all their customer service. Or maybe you care about our nation's veterans. Pure Talk does. They've donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to America's Warrior Partnership, a fantastic organization working hard to prevent veteran suicide. Or maybe you care about closing America's skills gap. Pure Talk does. They're a proud supporter of MicroWorks. They're helping my foundation train the next generation of skilled workers. Don't get me wrong. Saving money's great, and you'll save plenty with Pure Talk. But if you want to be in business with people who share your values, dial pound 250. Say micro, and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
You're listening to the Chris Hand Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
38 minutes past the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. The show brought to you by Better Water LLC. You can listen to it on all the apps. You can watch it on Super Talk TV. That's on YouTube and Rumble. FM dial is there as well. We appreciate you guys. However you're listening, thank you for joining the show. For however long or little you're joining us, we appreciate it. Ronald in Huntland wants to talk about the Save America Act, which we've been discussing. What's up, Ron?
Hello, man. Thanks for taking my call. Listen to you all the time.
I appreciate it, man. What do you got?
to borrow a phrase from Tim Burchett, I think there's too many daggone rhinos in the Senate, and
Amen.
I think they're all in each other's pocket. You know.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. It's infuriating.
Yes, it is, and I don't. They're not going. If they do pass it, I see it passing late, and there's no state be able to get it, processed through for it to affect our midterms. For them to be able to work with it.
Yeah.
So, and I think just every night I work with Franklin County politics and several other counties and even counties in Alabama. I help clean up Tim Ford Lake, and I've dealt with a whole lot of them on the local level, and it's really a mess. And even when you get down to the local level, so when we step up that large, it's just a nightmare.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I see it getting worse before it gets better.
Yeah, I mean, I pray you're wrong, but I wouldn't be shocked if you were right. Let's go to Dave in Smyrna. What's up, Dave?
Shalom, Brother Chris. It's your favorite Hebrew.
What's up, brother? You doing all right? I love hearing from my favorite Hebrew. What's up?
How you doing, man? So, I've been in the restaurant business for probably about 25 years, and one thing that has always bothered me is people who try to look busy while doing nothing. And that is exactly what the GOP does.
Well, I mean, John Thune said that John Thune said time is a commodity and that it would take too long to do the talking filibuster, but he had plenty of time to host a dog parade at the Capitol.
I honest to God wonder, does somebody with some of these dudes, does the MSS, the Chinese KGB, does the MSS have compromat on these guys or something? Does somebody have compromat on these guys? What the hell is going on?
I mean, what have they codified of Donald Trump's executive orders? Have they even codified anything?
Ruckus. Nothing.
It's insane. And it's all going to be undone with a stroke of a pen.
It defies logic. It's not often that I'm stuck for something to say, but this kind of stuff is literally, it's befuddling. What's the end game here?
Yeah. Well, and you tell me. My guess is as good as yours. It wouldn't shock me if they do have compromat on these guys. And I don't know who it would be.
Oh, no.
Is it Russia? Is it China? Is it the Democrats? I have no idea.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. First of all, you know that the compromat game is. Yeah.
We just saw.
Look at Epstein. I'm convinced Epstein was a black market intelligence broker.
Yeah, 100%. And we saw the intelligence game just play out with Eric Swalwell. You're going to tell me that the Democrats had no idea about this? It's no. They saved it for the moment when he wouldn't drop out of the California governor's race, and then they just hammered him.
Well, and there's somebody who literally was sleeping with an MSS spy.
Yep.
So, but as far as the Republicans are concerned, you got guys with some backbone, but those are never the guys or gals that get put into leadership. Where are the Burchetts? Where even though I know plenty of people have their disagreements with Ted Cruz, but so I don't think Ted would cave. I honest to God don't. Rick Scott wouldn't cave. Do you think Tommy Tuberville would cave? No, none of those guys would cave.
Yep, I'm with you.
So what are we doing with these ineffectual schmucks? It's utterly baffling.
Yep, and I think you're 100% right. I appreciate the call, Dave. When it comes to the Eric Swalwell stuff, we'll get back to the Save America here in 2 seconds. But when he brought up Eric Swalwell, we're talking about blackmail. This clip from Victor Davis Hanson was going viral over the weekend. He said that he also met Fang Fang, and he's like, how on earth did Eric Swalwell not know that this was a spy?
Eric Swalwell, well, as I said, I wrote some critical things of China, and Fang Fang came to see me, as a consular official out of the Bay Area, and I think she told me she was a political operative that monitored American politics. But when she walked in my office at the Hoover Institution, I kept the door open. I had one of my research people with me the whole time, and the way she changed accents and how she was dressed, you would have to be a stupid, narcissistic idiot to fall for that.
I feel like Eric Swalwell checks those boxes. I feel like he checks those boxes.
I'm serious. In my case, it was, maybe he would say it's easier because I'm an old man, but my point was, it was about 10 or 12 years ago, and he fell for that. And he got involved with her when he was on the House Intelligence Committee. So, end of story with that guy. He's anybody who would fall for her. Honeypot, it was just a joke. Anybody could see that.
And so,
yeah, I mean, that's Eric Swalwell, and he got caught up in the Fang spying. So when they say, are our Republican senators, do they have compromat on them? Is that why they can't get the Save America Act passed? Probably. Scott Pressler, though, says the tide is turning on the Save America Act, and there are a lot more GOP senators that are now in favor of nuking the filibuster.
Thank you, Kaylee. Today is day 108 of asking Senate Majority Leader John Thune to pass the Save America Act. And while our Senate colleagues may have forgotten about this country-saving legislation while they were on a paid vacation during Easter, I can tell you from being on the ground in Indiana and Texas and Florida and Utah, all across this great country, this is the single most important piece of legislation the American people still care about. And so I think the tide is starting to turn. You have Senator Mike Lee out of Utah that for the first time ever, he has kind of alluded to it in the past. He is now openly calling for the nuking of the filibuster. And as we just saw from the great Ron Johnson out of Wisconsin, some of the other Senate colleagues are finally reaching the point where they are calling to nuke the filibuster. And I agree, if the Democrats ever gain control of all three branches of government, there is no doubt that the Democrats would do so.
He's absolutely right. And we've heard the Democrats say this time and time again. You want to lose the country forever? Let the Democrats get back in power. They'll nuke the filibuster. D.C. and Puerto Rico will become a state. The Supreme Court will be packed. The 30 million illegal aliens that are here will be amnestied and be the new voters that the Democrats have always dreamed that they could be. And it's insanity. Why on earth wouldn't you fight tooth and nail to save this country? Scott Pressler went on. He said, listen, if any of these guys that are boys with John Thune think that they're going to get off scot-free from this, no. Scott Pressler said he has 2 weeks, Thune has 2 weeks to pass the Save America Act, or he's going to be surging to different areas to defeat Thune's allies, John Cornyn and Cassidy in Louisiana in particular.
Now, I'm giving a very peaceful warning to Senate Majority Leader Thune. He has 13 days until the end of April to pass the Save America Act into law. And respectfully, if the Senate Majority Leader is incapable of passing said legislation by the end of April, I will be going to Louisiana to help defeat Senator Cassidy in the May 16th Saturday primary. And I will be heading to Texas to defeat John Cornyn in the May 26th Senate runoff. And, you know, I've been nice. I've been really respectful. But the American people are fed up of electing people into power that don't wield that power when we have given them this massive opportunity to work on our behalf.
Wow, 13 days. I'm writing that down. And
12 days now. 12 days for Leader Thune to pass the Save America Act. 12 days. Again, Tim Burchett, our own congressional representative, says that he believes John Thune is slow walking this on purpose. So that way, if it does get passed, it will have no time to be implemented.
Hey, everybody, Tim Burchett. People are asking me about what's going on with the Save America Act. Well, the Senate, of course, is dragging their feet. The House has passed it twice. I've got a sneaking suspicion that they'll probably attempt to pass it or pass it so late in the dadgum game that it can't get implemented. And then they can go home and say, oh, look, we passed it, and everybody will be celebrating, patting them on the back. And then it just cannot get implemented at the state and local level in time for it to have any effect in these elections. And ultimately, I think that's what you've got. And I'm afraid in the Senate leadership, they have such a hatred of Trump and the conservative movement. They want things to go back to the status quo, which is them being called from the golf course by the Democrats when it's time to make a vote. And they do the obligatory, oh, we don't like what they're doing. And they get their crumbs off the side of the table and for their districts, and they go home and get reelected.
If and when potentially Blackburn becomes our governor, I hope and I pray that they put Tim Burchett in that senator seat so that way we can actually have some real conservative senators up there in D.C.
And I'm afraid that's exactly what they're up to. And it's disgusting. And at some point, we're going to say enough is enough. And we're going to start electing people with some guts that are going to do something, aren't just going to sit around. America's tired of hearings. They're tired of pontificating. They're tired of being talked down to. So there's an issue that's across the board, something like 80% approval, and yet you can't even get it to a vote in the Senate. I just don't buy it, folks.
I don't buy it either. Sounds like bovine scatology. Again, I hope if Marsha Blackburn wins the governor's, the governor of Tennessee, that we get Tim Burchett in there as a senator. I hope that there was a backroom deal there. There was a lot of people that were pushing for Tim Burchett to run for governor of the state. I would have loved for Burchett to be our governor, but he never threw his hat into the ring. He had thrown some feelers out there, but maybe there was a little side deal. Says, hey, you could be the senator. You could be the senator we throw in there. I hope that's the case. Tim Burchett would be a fantastic senator, especially when you look at some of the rhinos that we have in there. I mean, he would quickly rise to one of the best senators in the entire country. We'll talk a little bit more about this on the way. We'll take some of your phone calls. I also want to get into a lawsuit that has been filed today by Cash Patel. Who's he suing? We'll talk about it when we get back. 10:51. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at Zero Res Nashville. I talk about these guys all the time, but we got a new reason to be calling Zero Res. We have a chocolate lab, and he is shedding like crazy. And it's getting to the point where it's like, I think it's killing our vacuum cleaner. So we have to call Zero Res. We're going to call them. We got baseball dirt coming in the house. We got kids running in and out. We got dogs running in and out. And we need our friends at Zero Res. 4 kids, 2 dogs. You understand why I need my friends at Zero Res. But we trust them because it's the Maha of carpet cleaning. The difference is going to be obvious right away. The carpets are going to look better, feel softer, and dry faster than any cleaning that you've ever had done before. And they're using their exclusive ZR water when they do it. That means they don't use harsh chemicals. They're not leaving soap residue behind. The carpets are clean but safe for the entire family and all the pets. This is why you should trust Zero Res in Nashville. And I'm not the only one that trusts them. The thousands of reviews online, one of the best ratings in Nashville. Right now, they're running 2- and 3-room carpet specials. So go ahead, give them a call, take advantage of it. It's the perfect time of year to do it. 615-535-9376, 615-535-9376, or go to ZeroResNashville.com.
During Window Nation's The More You Buy, The More You Save sale, you could save up to 50% on new windows for your home. Plus, you could get them with 0% interest financing for 5 years. Sale ends soon, so visit windownation.com right now to book a consultation. That's windownation.com.
Sponsored by Straight Talk Wireless.
G'day, I'm Dr. Friday, president of Dr. Friday Tax and Financial Firm, home of the $100 a month accounting package. We do business, personal, and estate tax returns. Listen to the Dr. Friday Show every Saturday at 2 p.m. where we can take your calls live on 99.7 WTN.
Brought to you by Dr. Friday Tax and Financial Firm.
All right, drivers, we got a crash on the right shoulder. It's 40 westbound just past Fessler's Lane. And News Channel 5 says it's learned of a near mid-air collision near Nashville International Airport over the weekend. We'll give you the details on that coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
57 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We are less than 3 minutes away from the headlines with the one, the only Ken Weaver. We also have an update on one of Ken Weaver's best pals, Principal Kirk Moore, on the way in the lightning round. So stay tuned for that. It's a big update. So we'll tell you about that. Right now, I have an update on something that was talked about yesterday on Fox News. Kash Patel, there was a tweet that was posted by The Atlantic. I don't know if you're familiar. They're the rag that did Signalgate. Remember Signalgate? Remember when Signalgate was a big deal? I do too. They posted a thing about Kash Patel saying that he excessively drinks, that he's drunk all the time, and he constantly has unexplained absences. Kash Patel was asked about this yesterday on Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo.
Magazine, the Atlantic magazine director is alleging that you have a drinking problem, that it is getting in the way of your work running the FBI. What is your response this morning to this article?
Look, Maria, you and I have been at this together for a long time, whether I was leading the investigation on Russiagate back in the House or my time in the Trump admin 1 and now. And the results, I say, speak for themselves. If the fake news mafia isn't hitting you personally with baseless information in Washington, D.C., then you're not doing your job. And it's louder than ever because this FBI, under President Trump's brilliant leadership in backing the blue and backing law enforcement, this FBI has the most prolific year in crime reduction in the United States history. A 20% reduction in the homicide rate, a 20-point drop in opiate overdose deaths. We have found and identified 6,300 child victims. 6,300 kids get to go home to their kids. That's a 30% increase. Seizing enough fentanyl to kill 180 million Americans. That's a 31% increase. Our deal with China, where we stopped the flow of fentanyl precursors, or historic engagement thanks to President Trump in Busan. And our work continues. We've captured 8 of the top 10 most wanted fugitives in the world, to include rapists, murderers, terrorists, and narco-traffickers. That's twice as many as Joe Biden did in 4 years. President Trump and this FBI got done in 14 months. So if I'm not doing my job, if I'm not working, then how is it that the FBI delivered the safest America under President Trump's leadership in the history of our country?
It's a good question. It's a good question. So again, the Atlantic claimed that he is drunk all the time. He's probably drunk right there during that interview. Hammered drunk. And he constantly has unexplained absences. I wish they did this kind of investigative journalism with Kamala Harris when she was falling over in CVS's at 3 a.m. on a Doritos run with Dougie. Never happened. Never happened. Well, Kash Patel has just announced that he is suing the Atlantic for $250 million for defamation. FAFO. We'll have more from the FBI director when we get back. He actually had an update also during this interview on the missing scientists. We'll talk about that when we get back. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, News Channel 5 says it has learned that 2 Southwest Airlines jets were involved in a close call near Nashville International Airport Saturday afternoon. Flight data and air traffic control recordings suggest a controller turned one jet into the path of another that was taking off. Both pilots reported taking evasive action after receiving collision avoidance alerts. The FAA has not yet commented on the incident, according to News Channel 5. And despite the mind-bending pressure of the job, more than 8,000 people have applied as air traffic controllers during the current recruitment drive. ABC's Jim Ryan says the Department of Transportation took a different approach this time.
The DOT set its sights squarely on video gamers as a population that might have some built-in skills necessary to keep the skies safe. Even in his social media posting on the results, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy included a clip of Super Mario Brothers, ending with Mario walking into a control tower. The FAA has been battling a stubborn shortage of air traffic controllers. The 8,000 new applicants is a record for the agency. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Ken, I gotta stop you there.
Yes, sir.
The Mario music made me panic. I thought something was playing off of my computer that shouldn't be, and I freaked out a little bit. Not gonna lie to you.
Okay.
Thank you for your attention to this matter.
You bet your brother Chris hand. Operation Epic Fury. It's unclear whether another round of talks will get underway between the U.S. and Iran this week. This as President Trump has been threatening to target Iran's civilian infrastructure on social media. More from ABC's Karen Travers at the White House.
New threats, but bringing back old threats from before the 2-week ceasefire that we're currently in right now, but remember, is set to expire on Wednesday. The president is once again saying that if Iran does not make a deal, he will target the civilian infrastructure and energy infrastructure in that country. He wrote on social media yesterday, the United States is going to knock out every single power plant and every single bridge in Iran. He also added, quote, no more Mr. Nice Guy.
Well, today, businesses who had to pay more for imported goods under the tariffs can apply to get refunded. The U.S. Supreme Court struck down most of the tariffs imposed last year, and it will take about 60 to 90 days for the refunds to get processed after applications are approved. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
11:06, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We were just talking about FBI Director Kash Patel launching a lawsuit against The Atlantic. The Atlantic claims that he's drunk all the time. Hammered drunk. Hammered drunk. Inexcusable absences. They're unexplained. Nobody knows where he is. Kash Patel says that is bovine scatology. Here's a lawsuit for $250 million. I'll see you in court. We'll be paying attention to this story as it unravels. We do have more from that FBI director interview with Maria Bartiromo over the weekend. One of the things that he was asked about was the missing scientists, which has been a big deal in a lot of circles. Kash Patel has confirmed that there's an investigation ongoing. This is after President Trump said last week that they would be looking into it. A lot of missing scientists. Kash Patel, what the heck is going on?
The FBI is going to be spearheading the effort collectively with our partners at the Department of Energy and the Department of War. These missing and killed scientists and former professional members of the Department of Energy vary in wide range. And we're working most importantly with our state and local partners who have the jurisdiction on each of these cases, whether they be a homicide or a missing persons case. They have the evidence. So what we're going to do is collectively pull it all into one place. We started this process last week, and then we're going to look for connections, like you said, on whether there are connections to classified access to classified information and or foreign actors, and then we will produce that information to the White House and the world because it's of such great public importance. And if there's any connections that lead to nefarious conduct or conspiracy, this FBI will make the appropriate arrest.
They're looking into it. Investigation is ongoing. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. Part of me just thinks that this is in-house issues. I don't know. Maybe it's the conspiracy brain. Maybe I'm being a lunatic. I feel like it's probably far more likely that U.S. black projects were tying up loose ends, or maybe some of these individuals defected to foreign countries. But if you haven't been keeping score on the disappearances and the deaths of these scientists, Fox News had a breakdown over the weekend.
Or both of those are working for NASA. But this is really one of the things that when we talk to former FBI special agents like James Galliano, you look at the number of potential connections, 8 in the last 2 years. And among them, you see William Neal McCaslin. He is an Air Force general that oversaw the Air Force lab that connects both the NASA Jet Propulsion Lab as well as the highly secretive work that they are doing in Los Alamos on a nuclear science, as well as McCaslin, by the way, also worked on secretive UAP or UFO technology.
That's the one that Tim Burchett said in an interview. William Neal McCaslin was the UFO gatekeeper. He's the UFO gate. He's the guy. He's the guy. Also important to point out, it was 10 missing scientists. It's now up to 11.
In the past, he, of course, goes missing, doesn't take his phone or his glasses. So with this entire list of people, let's break down now, if we have that other wall, sort of where these people are working, right? So the NASA Jet Propulsion Labs are, as we mentioned, Michael David Hicks, Griemeyer, Maywald, and Monica Reza. Monica Reza, by the way, just goes hiking and disappears, vanishes. She was working on very highly classified things. She reported to General McCaslin. McCaslin, who oversees the Air Force Space Labs, connects NASA ultimately over to Los Alamos. And so when you talk about the number of connections that may or may not exist, and that's why the FBI and other agencies are digging in now to find it, you wonder what was any potential motive if there was a connection to these missing and deceased persons. Was it a foreign government? We saw so many individuals from China when Bill Maloogian and I were out in California and Arizona. These individuals are coming over. Were they possibly in any way trying to get our information? And they cross, by the way, in many places where this takes place.
So we don't have any answers. They are investigating. One other thing on the UFO note before we move on and get back to the FBI director's interview. Donald Trump was in Arizona on Friday night at a Turning Point USA event. and he said that he has instructed Secretary of War, not Defense Secretary, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to release government documents related to UFOs. This was the president on Friday night.
As you remember, I recently directed the Secretary of War. How good is Pete Hegseth doing, by the way? To begin releasing government files relating to UFOs and unexplained aerial phenomena. And I figured this was a good crowd because I know you people, you're really into that. I don't know if I am, but so I'm pleased to report today. I thought I'd save it for this crowd because you're a little bit out there, you know, a little bit. That this process is well underway, and we found many very interesting documents, I must say. And the first releases will begin very, very soon. So you can go out and see if that phenomena is correct. You'll figure it out. Let me know. Let me know.
So we're going to be getting some UFO documents this week. Again, if this story happened 20 years ago, the entire country would be just absolutely enamored with it. But nowadays, we're just like, all right, moving on. Right? Doesn't it feel weird that this would have been a big story just a couple decades ago, but now it's like, oh, all right, let me know what's up. Let me know what you think. I'm gonna go to work. Just keep going on about my day. But if this was 1994, if this was 2004, everybody would be losing their minds. So it's wild to think about. It really is. Back to Kash Patel. He said that they're investigating, and they have a huge investigation going on into those mysterious deaths and the loss of basically a dozen high-level, top-secret scientists. He's not the only one investigating. House Oversight Chair James Comer is also launching an investigation, and he says that with his bully pulpit, maybe they can get some answers. He thinks there's something sinister going on.
We're very concerned about this. This is a national security concern. This would suggest that something sinister may be happening. So we want to see what we can do, and hopefully with our bully pulpit, we can maybe bring attention to this and have anyone that knows of any information out there, have them contact Congress so we can help determine what's going on here and prevent this from happening in the future.
Yeah, well, we'll keep you updated on this story as it develops, as we get more information out of this investigation. On the other side of this interview with Kash Patel and Maria Bartiromo, they talked a lot about accountability and the accountability that should be coming when it comes to the 2020 election. We know that DNI Gabbard has been going after ballots in Georgia. Kash Patel was asked about the information that supports Donald Trump's claims that the 2020 election was rigged. You know it. I know it. Everybody with a pulse essentially knows it. Kash Patel says that he has information that supports President Trump's statements that 2020 was rigged.
Hold on, because when you started this interview, you said, Maria, you and I have been working together for a long time, and this is exactly what you were referring to. You were on my show repeatedly talking about the Russia collusion story, and our audience wants to know why there's never any accountability. But specifically, the question that I asked you was about election integrity and whether or not you have any information to verify what President Trump says all the time, which is the election was rigged. That's what I asked you, Kash.
I'm sorry, Maria, I misheard. Yes, so what we are doing is folding that into our entire conspiracy case, and we will let the prosecution speak for him. But we have the information that backs President Trump's claim, but because it's an ongoing prosecution investigation, I can't get ahead of the DOJ and the president. But President Trump speaks truthfully when he says that, and that's what I've been telling you about. When we find terabytes of data on computers from the last 10 years that we were supposed to find 10 years ago, that's what it took. It took his re-election. It took this FBI to go in there and find it, and it takes a long time to get through that material. But I would say stay tuned this week. You might see a thing or two.
Stay tuned this week. You might see a thing or two. So we might see some stuff on the 2020 election this week. We might see some UFO documents this week. We might see an Iran peace deal this week. It's going to be a big week here on WTN. Make sure that you're finding us on all the apps. The FM dial, you got us locked in. Preset number 1. And make sure you're subscribed to YouTube and Rumble because we will be following these stories. Kash Patel went on, though, to say that arrests are coming, and James Comey is not going to be the only one facing criminal consequences for what he did in previous administrations. I hope this is the case because I do believe that if we start seeing some accountability some of that swamp being drained, it may reinvigorate conservatives as we head towards the midterms. This was Kash Patel with Maria Bartiromo.
I lived through it, and the media came at me then, too. That just shows you that when you're over the target, you keep pummeling the target because the media's going to try and pummel you. We are not going to take this and have not taken this laying down. We did already indict former Director Comey, and that's going through the judicial process. But we also, at this FBI, even though we uncovered what we uncovered back in the House Intel days, I had to come in here and find rooms that they hid from the world. I had to come in here and find access on our computer systems in restricted and prohibited case files that they purposely put in places for no one to see and find. We have found all this information. We are working with our Department of Justice partners, and I am never going to let this go because they not only have personally attacked the presidency of the United States and President Trump, but they tried to thwart our elections and rig the entire system. And that is not something that is going to stop. That is not something I'm going to allow on my watch. But you just have to remember, they built this disease temple over 20 and 30 years. We've got all the evidence. I can announce on your show that we've got all the information we need. We're working with our prosecutors at the Department of Justice and their Attorney General Todd Blanche, and we are going to be making arrests. And it's coming, and I promise you, it's coming soon.
Well, Kash, hold on, because when you started this interview, you said, Maria, you and I have been working together for a long time, and this is exactly what you were referring to. You were on my show repeatedly talking about the Russia collusion story, and our audience wants to know why there's never any accountability. But specifically, the question that I asked you was...
So he says arrests are coming this week. And then it kind of goes off into another question that we already played. Arrests are coming. Accountability is coming. Be on the lookout for more announcements. It could be as soon as this week. That's the FBI Director Kash Patel. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon was also talking about this over the weekend with Maria Bartiromo. And Harmeet Dillon says the weaponization by government officials to fabricate false narratives against the president and his advisors with the Russia hoax and others is a travesty that must never be repeated, and that the entire DOJ is committed to holding those responsible fully accountable and ensuring justice is done. This was Harmeet Dillon.
I want to get your take on who really was behind that impeachment process for President Trump. But even more important, give us your sense of what you just heard me talk with Kash Patel about, and that is the failure of any accountability. Our audience knows exactly what happened with the Russia collusion story. No one has been held accountable. Why not?
Well, Maria, thanks for having me this morning. And I heard Kash's remarks. I agree with them. And, you know, your folks need to understand that when we start these investigations, it takes time. We have to interview a lot of witnesses. We don't want to do what the other side did, which is just jump to conclusions. And so we're building strong cases. And I think your viewers are probably familiar with the fact that some of the judges out there, particularly judges appointed more recently, have been, you know, doing their own form of lawfare by simply denying the Trump administration's valid cases in court on numerous different cases. And so we've experienced that at the Department of Justice. And so we're trying different tacks. We're putting teams together. I'm personally involved in some of the issues that we've talked about. Like Kash, I can't talk about things prematurely before they come to a grand jury or before we're able to announce them. But I can assure you that you know, the whole Department of Justice is very committed to this. And Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche is continuing the work started under the Attorney General Pam Bondi. And you know, we will have news in the very near future on these issues. And there's so many issues, Maria, like you just mentioned, the Atkinson situation. I mean, we just saw the news come out in the last couple of days about the CIA's weaponization of the government and intelligence officials to concoct a fake narrative regarding the Hunter Biden laptop and sign on and lie to the American people. And they did that, many of them, on the government dime. And so there are some serious violations that may come out of that as well.
But the big takeaway is that they're building the case, and the cases have to be ironclad. I pray that they do that, and I pray that we get accountability soon. On the comment that you made there at the end about the CIA, Hunter Biden laptop, and the letter, Donald Trump posted this over the weekend. Former CIA Director Mike Morrell colluded with John Brennan. This was right before the debate where they had all of those intelligence agencies sign off on the letter that the Hunter Biden laptop was classic Russian disinformation. You remember it, and I remember it. Do you remember arguing with people about the Hunter Biden laptop being real or fake? what were we doing? Everybody knew it was real, up to and including the intelligence community.
Ago, Just the News obtained this email. This is a very important email. It comes from the former CIA director, Mike Morrell. Yes, the guy that organized that letter from the 51 intelligence professionals who tried to fake you into thinking that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation when it wasn't. It is between him and John Brennan, one of the signatories. You know who John Brennan is? He was Obama's CIA director, right? He's the guy that told Obama, hey, Hillary Clinton is doing a dirty trick on Donald Trump called Russia collusion. Well, this is just before the presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Hunter Biden's laptop is flinging out there. This is what Mike Morrell, former CIA director, tells his successor, John Brennan. Hey, sign this letter because I'm, quote, trying to give the campaign, particularly during the debate on Thursday, a talking point to push back on Trump on this issue. A man with a security clearance, a man with the title of CIA director, knew that he wasn't creating an intelligence product, a Merrick civic duty with 51 people. He was trying to create a political moment. Damning evidence. We'll try to find out if Congress has this letter, but this is a very important piece. It is the ultimate proof that what went out on that letter was a political dirty trick coordinated with the Biden campaign.
Everything was fabricated. The impeachment scandals, the Russia collusion hoax, the FBI, the 51 intelligence agents letter, and we all knew it. But it looks like this Department of Justice is now getting to a point where we might see some criminal charges. A lot of people are saying it's going to happen soon. I don't want to count chickens before they hatch, but I'm going to pray that they're telling us the truth. It's 11:22. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friend Shane Ring over at Cover Nash. And if you need health insurance, but you think you got to wait till the fall for open enrollment to get it, that's a myth. That's actually just what the big guys want you to believe. With Cover Nash, you can get covered today, right now. No waiting, no gimmicks. It's a phone call away. You missed open enrollment, no problem. You lost your job coverage. That stinks, but Cover Nash has you covered. If you're just sick of overpriced junk insurance, you're in the right place. You see, Cover Nash partners with everybody. Over 75 top-rated insurance companies, including brand new nationwide PPO options. And we're talking deductibles as low as $250, flat $50 doctor visits, even for specialists, ACA-compliant plans with free preventative care, and plans for individuals, families, self-employed, small businesses, you name it. Shane Ring has a plan for you. Stop overpaying, stop waiting, stop thinking you're stuck. Call my friend Shane today. If I'm a betting man, Shane's at his desk right now waiting for your call. 615-465-0023. Even if you currently have health insurance, make this phone call and say, hey, Shane, can you save me some money? Chances are he can. 615-465-0023 or find him online at covernash.com.
All right, it's got a crash. It's moved off on the right shoulder now, 40 westbound. They're at Fessler's Lane, and we're learning about a close call midair near BNA over the weekend. We'll tell you about it at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. You know, I heard Secretary Duffy over the weekend talking about AI controlling air traffic controls. And after hearing that story, I'm like, maybe that's the right way to go. Maybe. Did you hear that over the weekend? Secretary Duffy, Transportation Secretary. He said that he's not leaning towards it, but there are some areas where AI could be helping us. And listen, if it eliminates these close calls, I'm all for it. I wonder what you guys think. 615-737-9986. Secretary Duffy, he's been talking about this for a while. He said that they have at least 3 companies that are working right now developing software to look at even how flights are managed. So we'll keep you updated on that. I think anything that could make it work a little bit better is the right move. But he's not completely 100% sold. This was Secretary Duffy over the weekend.
About this. Are you guys still thinking about removing some of the human element and staffing concerns and just using AI for air traffic control?
Listen, we're not going to turn our air traffic and human safety in the skies over to computers. That's not going to happen. We're going to continue to see a shortage for several years. But I will tell you, I mean, as we've looked at improving the infrastructure around air traffic control, are there tools that make the job easier, less stressful for an air traffic controller? Of course, and that's what we're working on. And one big, beautiful bill from President Trump and Republicans in Congress, we got $12.5 billion. That build is already happening, well underway. But surface awareness systems, so controllers can see what's happening on the tarmac. Brand new radar. And if you think about this, how much room it took to do the work of a calculator 50 years ago, it might take up half a room of equipment, and today it's in a little calculator, Peter. That's the same thing of the guts of how a radar works. So using new equipment, we've advanced light years since the 70s and the 60s. We're going to buy all new stuff. We're in the process of building those new radar radios. Again, there's a lot of static on the line. The communication between the tower and the aircraft, they're using 30, 40-year-old radios. We already have replaced 250 radios across the NAS, the National Airspace, again, improving the whole system so it's safer and it's going to be more efficient.
Not ready to turn it over to computers just yet, but they are working to improve it. 11:31, this is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes, and a mid-air close call just north of Nashville International Airport, that is, forced 2 Southwest jets to take evasive action over the weekend. Investigators say an air traffic controller mistakenly turned a landing aircraft into the path of a departing aircraft. Pilots on both planes followed resolution alerts from their onboard safety systems. No injuries were reported, and the FAA is reviewing what happened. Well, it's unclear whether another round of talks will get underway between the U.S. and Iran this week. This is President Trump has been threatening to target Iran's civilian infrastructure on social media. More from ABC's Karen Travers at the White House.
The White House has said that Vice President Vance will lead the delegation again in another round of talks with Iran in Pakistan. Of course, he did that last round a week and a half ago with Steve Witkoff, the special envoy for the region, and the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. But the question now is, when does this take place? Because all of the public signals from Iran right now are that they're not yet committed to a second round of talks.
According to a new study, the younger someone uses cannabis, the more it may affect their cognitive abilities later in life. Researchers followed nearly 12,000 users as young as 10 years old who used cannabis, and after 10 years found that those kids scored worse on tests to measure memory, processing speed, and verbal recall. ABC News medical contributor Dr. Darian Sutton says even though more long-term effects into adulthood need to be examined, the results suggest that cannabis use can stunt cognitive development.
We often think
is that the effect of cannabis is temporary. But what they found is that from this large study, that cannabis use in early age can shape the way the brain develops. And it's so important to understand this because adolescence is a critical window. And what we see here is that kids who use cannabis by their mid to late teens show slower progress in memory, attention, processing speed, and decision making.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
"37 minutes past the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. It's that time of the day. We're winding things down. We got to get to the stories that we didn't make it to. We like to call this the Lightning Round.
It's the Lightning Round with Chris Hand.
Man, if you're not watching on Super Talk TV, you always miss the little shimmy that me and Mason do whenever we launch into the Lightning Round. It's a subtle shimmy, but there's definitely a shimmy going on. Every day we do it this time. Not just the shimmy, but the Lightning Round. We like to go through all the stories that we didn't have a chance to cover, stories that wouldn't fill a whole segment, and stories that we just find interesting, and we call it the lightning round. First story, Ugandan mayor, the commie, the socialist, Mayor Mamdani. He was given an interview to a guy who also had an aficionado. He's a scully cap aficionado, like our friend Dan Mandis, but he wears them backwards. And he's given an interview to this guy, and he all but says that he's going to be targeting white people because of the wealth gap between white people and black people in New York City.
You've talked about things that we all care about. You mentioned the disparity between white New Yorkers and black New Yorkers and how those communities have historically had that disparity. What does policy look like for you to address that?
I think first and foremost, you have to acknowledge the truth, right? And it's not an indictment of any one New Yorker. It's an indictment of politics and policies. There's no way that we can accept in New York City where the median household wealth of a black family is less than $20,000
for sure
in the most expensive city in the United States of America. And so part of it is acknowledging, and the next step is to make sure when you're building out your policies, you have equity in that framework.
Yep.
So for example, we have a $1.2 billion deal to deliver universal childcare. We're starting with 4 sets of neighborhoods. We were intentional about also picking the neighborhoods that are often last, the ones that are often overlooked. We're talking about Canarsie, Brownsville, Far Rockaway. Having those be first so that we can see the impacts of that kind of investment in the very communities that are.
Yeah, I think New York is going to see the impacts of that kind of investment when they're investing based on race. And I think they're already starting to see it. The results of that kind of investment are going to be people fleeing the state. In fact, they're already massively fleeing the state, and they're going to neighboring New Jersey. This is a real estate agent in New Jersey, and she's like, hey, if you don't live in Monmouth County yet, you're probably not going to be able to afford it because people are coming in because of the policies of Mamdani, and they're paying about $150,000 over asking price for the properties in this state.
The craziest thing happened yesterday. So I made an offer for a house that was kind of high price. Like, I thought it was a little bit high price for the market. We went $150,000 over asking. Someone else came in much higher than us. Like, we weren't even in ballpark. My buyers didn't get the house.
What?
Then I have a listing in Middletown. No offers for 2.5 weeks. Yesterday, same day, 4 offers, all over asking, all phenomenal offers. And this is going on in other parts of Monmouth County as I speak to other agents as well.
This is insane. So somebody came in with an offer on a house. It was $150,000 over asking price, and they got beat. They got beat. $150,000 over asking price? Bananas. And this isn't an isolated incident. This is a direct result of Mayor Mamdani going, you know who we're going to tax? Wealthy white folks. That's who's going to face the burden in New York City.
So there is definitely mass exodus from New York. People that are worried in Hoboken for that spillover, they're jumping over to Monmouth County with, the ease of transportation to the city. So if you don't live in this area already, I don't think the average person is going to be able to move into Monmouth County, the eastern Monmouth area, very soon.
No. Also, I would make the argument, why would you want to go to New Jersey? I mean, let's be perfectly honest. You just elected another far lefter for your governor, Mikey Sherrill, and these policies are coming to you too. You might be able to delay it a little bit. You might give yourself a little bit of wiggle room, a little bit of breathing area, but these policies are coming for you as well. In fact, this is happening in blue states across the country. Why would anybody want to live there? David Sachs was talking about blue states on the All In podcast, and he nailed it. Your property is not safe in blue states. It's because the political class is coming for you.
LA did something a little different but similar. Is they introduced that 5% mansion tax. It's on like all the areas except for like Beverly Hills and
San Francisco has that too.
Yeah, San Francisco got that too. I think it's actually like 6% in San Francisco.
San Francisco, it's 6% over 25 million, and it starts at 5 million.
Insane.
So there's a transfer tax, an excess transfer tax above $5 million properties that scales up above 25 million to an extra 6% on top of your brokerage commission.
And it's important to point out that in the state of California, $1 million home is just a dilapidated shack. I mean, that's what you get for $1 million. So if you're buying a $5 million home, I would imagine that you're looking at just a very nice home in Tennessee. Nothing crazy, but not not $5 million. That property is not worth $5 million.
So when you sell a house in San Francisco, you're paying 13% now.
Which is why you look at the transaction volume in the LA real estate market, and it's just completely dried up. You know, people aren't doing the house flipping anymore, like that kind of stuff, because the transaction costs are too high. But it just shows, I mean, again, this tax was imposed retroactively. For example, I had my house at SF, and then they just take, you know, a couple of rooms of it. And we talked about this on the show when it happened. But my point is just your property is not safe in blue states. And wealthy people who have a choice of where to park their money are going to increasingly realize that. And they're not going to buy. I think real estate in blue states is dangerous because the political class thinks that they can take a chunk of it. And, you know, wealthy people are going to react to that and they're going to move their money elsewhere.
Exactly. I mean, this is what these people don't understand. You're not making it easier on anybody. You're claiming to fight for the lower class, for those who don't have the wealth, but eventually they're going to be the ones that are hurt by these policies because the job creators, the wealth in the state is leaving, and it's not going to come back because you guys have ruined your states. And this goes for just about every single blue state in the union. Got another story for you here in the lightning round. There it is. A little delayed. It's a little delayed, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Georgia election officials just got arrested, just got charged with fraud. Yep, you heard me right. Georgia election officials just got charged with fraud. Not election fraud, healthcare fraud.
And Macon County leaders are meeting today following the arrest of 2 election officials. The 2 employees and 3 other people are accused in what prosecutors are calling a multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. Tarshia Fudge Riley and LaMonica Lakes were arrested yesterday, and this morning they're facing federal health care fraud charges after that grand jury indictment. The indictment alleges that Fudge Riley Lakes and 2 others created fake therapy session notes for Don James Ellis. That's a therapist who was also arrested. James Ellis would submit claims to insurance companies for therapy sessions that prosecutors say never happened. All 5 are accused of taking money from those claims. State Representative Patty Stinson says the indictment will not impact the upcoming elections.
Allegedly, this matter really is not pertaining to the board itself. It's just that the individuals worked in their office.
Board members will meet today at 1 in the afternoon to discuss that personnel matters, but that meeting will not be open to the public.
No, of course not. Of course not. My question for you would be, if these Georgia election officials are willing to commit healthcare fraud, why on earth would they not be willing to commit voter fraud? Exactly. Got another story for you here in the lightning round. This one's pretty cool. We've been covering this story a lot because I think the guy is just an absolute boss. We talked about Kirk Moore, friend of Ken Weaver and principal of Overton High School, I believe it was, in Oklahoma.
No, it's Pauls Valley High School.
Pauls Valley High School.
In Pauls Valley.
Thank you.
There you go, brother Chris Hand.
See, this is why we need Ken Weaver in here. Where's Overton High School? Why did I get that?
I do not know.
Was that in the, that's the Muslim school. Sorry. That was the high school here in Nashville that was allowing Muslims to pray. Got it. Sorry. Moving on. Pauls Valley High School. Kirk Moore, the principal that stopped the school shooter by tackling him. Over the weekend, he made his triumphant return at prom, and they crowned him prom king. He got a nice crown and a celebration worthy of a hero, and him and his wife were prom king and queen, which is amazing. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. If you're watching on Super Talk TV, you'll see the amazing crown that he got, and you'll also see him tackling in the other frame the would-be school shooter that he heroically tackled to prevent any loss of life in his school. Absolute boss. He deserves to be king. Protest against that if you want to. That's Kirk Moore. Got another story for you here in the lightning round. You want to know what the Democrats' plans are when it comes to Donald Trump should they win midterms? Well, I'll let you know. Every single 2026 Michigan Democrat Senate candidate is calling for his impeachment. Yep, that's what's coming if we lose in the midterms.
Everything needs to be on the table. Donald Trump should not be the president. He should not be in office, whether it's the 25th Amendment, whether it's impeachment.
That was Mallory McCarrow, a Democrat candidate for Senate in Michigan.
I've seen enough that if I were in the House, I would vote to impeach.
That was Abdul Al-Said, another Michigan Democrat candidate for Senate.
Yes, you would support impeachment, or you're just going to do consent?
I have supported an inquiry. We've got to build a real case. Overall, we need to be standing up for our democracy.
My democracy. That's Rep. Haley Stevens, also a candidate for Senate in Michigan.
Should they pursue impeachment?
Everything needs to be on the table.
Everything needs to be on the table. That's what's happening. That's what's coming if we lose in midterms. Got one more story for you here in the lightning round. Former Congressman George Santos says that what we're seeing with Eric Swalwell is the tip of the iceberg, and that multiple members of Congress on both sides of the aisle have this kind of compromat on them.
George, is it just Swalwell? Is it just Goldman? I mean, are there a lot more that we don't know about?
There's a lot more. There's a lot, Lydia. I'm going to be very blunt with you. There's a lot more. You have members of Congress accused of beating women like Max Miller in Ohio. You have members of Congress accused of having, orgies with women escorts for hire. There is such a chaotic layer of corruptness and deceitful behavior taking place. I think this is the opportunity for victims to come forward and turn this into the Me Too version of politics so we can purge DC of all the wrongdoing. So finally, the focus can be working for the American people and not being blackmailed by their misdeeds on Capitol Hill.
I would love to see a Me Too political movement. And I know that we would lose some Republicans. We might even lose some of our favorites. And you know what I would say? Good. If you can be blackmailed and you're in a position of power, you shouldn't be there. And I do believe that a lot of these guys in D.C. can be blackmailed. We were talking about this earlier in the show with leader John Thune slow-walking the Save America Act, with all of these senators on the Republican sides of things dragging their feet, not wanting to get this done. And the question always comes back to why? Why on earth are you against this? And without evidence, we just speculate maybe they're blackmailed. Maybe they are. I hope we see something like this. I would love to see a Me Too /political style movement so that way we can rout all of these weirdos and creeps and abusers out of power. For some reason, weirdos, creeps, and abusers are always drawn to that power. So let's get it. Let's make it happen. I actually do have time for one more. I didn't think I was going to have time for this. I got one more story in the lightning round. Hey, it turns out Nancy Pelosi has always supported a bill to ban stock trading in Congress.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and she might be tired of making money. She's claiming to have always supported a bill to ban members of Congress from stock trading.
Okay.
Speaker Pelosi, do you support the Trust in Congress Act, the bipartisan bill from Representatives Spanberger and Roy that would ban members of Congress from trading individual stocks or require them to place their assets in a blind trust? And if not, why not?
Well, I think it's a new bill now because Spanberger's not here. But it's a new bill. But we on the Democratic side have supported the bill as you described. Plus, it should include the executive branch, and that's one of the discussions that they're having now because the executive branch is making out like a bandit. I originally was reluctant on it because I didn't think our members were breaking the law. But if the public felt that way and the Congress wanted, I was all for the bill. But there was not a majority to pass it, and that's why it was not brought up. And I'm not going to name names of people who opposed it.
She always supported it. Always. Wow, you're telling me. I'm hearing this for the first time. I had no idea. It's 11:51. That does it for the lightning round. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 11:56, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name is Chris Hand. In studio with Chad Benson. Ken Weaver's in the newsroom. What's up, Chad?
What's up?
You have a good weekend?
Yes. Did nothing.
Oh,
literally.
Oh yeah, you had Coachella.
Coachella. We did nothing this weekend. It was spectacular.
I was watching a reel, and I didn't realize this. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. But Coachella was created to thumb the nose at the big ticket guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how you could spend $50 and it was no corporate influence and this and that, and now it's turned into $10,000 and a $300 caviar cheeseburger.
Yeah. Well, it's like same thing with the Burning Man. Burning Man's all sponsored now.
Yeah.
Like you go to the orgy tent, it's sponsored by like Microsoft.
The orgy tent brought to you by Trojan. Is there any chance that another festival ever pops up that is fighting the man and thumbing their nose? Or are these artists demanding too much money these days, and there's just no realistic way that you could pay that many people to play a festival?
Yeah, not like that. The problem is I don't think people realize how much they got paid. Like they come out, and if you're a low-level artist, this might make your year, right? You might get 60, 100 grand for being on the super side stage right next to all the trucks serving food. And, Justin Bieber got what? $10 million for his YouTube hour,
and he barely performed. He was on YouTube. He surfed on YouTube.
Yeah,
he played the got him guy on the main stage.
Oh
of
yeah,
Coachella.
he played D's Nuts the first weekend.
Yes.
D's Nuts.
So, you guys know why he did that?
What's that?
All of his music I think 2018 is owned by his original producer.
Yeah, so he can't do
it. Scooter Braun.
Yeah.
Scooter Braun. Who else? He owned another person's music. Was it Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
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 Smartest man in the business.
I mean, that's why Taylor
lie.
Swift released all of her music again under different names. So that way she could get access to people streaming it again.
I mean, I'll just be honest. Like, game recognized game. Like, I'm not even mad at Scooter Braun for that stuff.
No.
Oh, yeah. It was super underhanded, but, like, dude is making millions off of it.
You signed the deal.
Yeah. No, for sure.
It's not his fault.
No, no. If you're willing to sell it to me and I'm willing to buy it, and then you can't come back and go, oh, that's totally uncool. You should have known. No, sorry. That's the way it is, right? So, but I was, the amount of, it's hard to think about how are you going to have a festival that big? It's going to cost so much money. Where are you going to have it at? And who are you going to get to come play? Because originally it was bringing these artists so they have a chance one day to be up there. Now everybody's getting just gangs of cash to show up.
That's crazy.
Yeah, super crazy.
What are you talking about today?
Maybe talk a little bit about Iran, talk a little about NES. Apparently, they weren't as prepared as they thought they were.
No way.
I know, that was a shocker to all of us as well.
I think that's fake news.
So fake
I've been following this story closely. They were very prepared, I heard.
Somebody needs a raise.
Yeah.
660 grand. Ha! You need more than that.
That's nothing. What Teresa Broyles-Applin's been able to do for this community.
Solid.
I don't know. Have you walked around? Everybody had lights on last night.
Yeah.
I don't see what the big deal is.
She brought everybody together. Everybody agrees you're the worst.
Yeah, it was unifying.
That's it. So we'll talk about that. A bunch of other stuff.
Chad's in next. It's 12 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.